Hey guys, it's so good to see you again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this fantastic episode of Tennis Bytes. And today, as we begin the show, to be fair, I am shocked and deep down, I am really disappointed that Djokovic did not win the ATP Fans Favorite Award. So, any initial thoughts, Aadish, before we dive into multiple dimensions of this?
First of all, I really like your background. It gives me a very tennis-like feel. I did play, of course, in the
Uh,
morning today, and although it's quite cold, actually, it's very much fun to play tennis on a weekend on a Sunday. And looking at the tennis courts behind you, I feel like I even want to extend my evening session as well. But
yeah.
uh, coming back to Djokovic winning the fans' favorite, I think um, this is a very controversial topic and something I have, uh, we have been discussing for a really long time. Whether it is true or is it just, that a certain perception is being built.
Yeah.
So
So
who
I
knows?
would like to dive into three specific parts. So three specific parts, meaning one is the perspective of fans, which is obviously very related to this particular award. But in general, his I think relationship with media is maybe another point. And obviously the admins, officials, I'm not very sure how to call this particular angle, but I would like to also touch upon that point. So I think starting with
Right.
fans, uh, how would you say? I mean, what are some of the incidents that come to your mind, which probably doesn't make Djokovic the favorite for this?
See, the ATP fans' favorite is definitely one of the things that has come to light very recently. Uh, Yannick Sinner won the fans' favorite this year. Last year it was Rafael Nadal. And before that, for 19 straight years, it was Roger Federer. so, so there is no absolutely love for Djokovic as far as the fans are considered, compared to what a Federer or a Nadal commanded. And now it seems like suddenly out of nowhere, a kid who has come out on the tour, what, like
Well,
2 years ago, has eclipsed Djokovic as a fan favorite.
great.
So definitely from the fans' perspective, it is quite clear that they are not exactly, they don't love him as much as he
And
deserves. And it's not just this award, right? We have seen this so many times on so many occasions. He gets
yeah.
booed everywhere. Of course, he's one of those guys who has turned it into motivation, and every time you boo him, it is almost certain that you're going to get hit for an ace the next serve, or he's going to just, hit one of the most beautiful backhand down the lines the world has ever seen. And it doesn't bother him, or maybe he has turned it into motivation. See, he's obviously, mentally probably the toughest athlete on the planet. So, of course, these are the things that probably don't bother him, or if they do, then it doesn't impact him in a negative way.
Yeah.
That is for sure. But definitely the
And
fans are not on his side. At least the bulk of the fans
yeah,
are not on
and
his side.
I don't think anybody was following this award. As you mentioned, Federer won it 19 times. Suddenly, when Djokovic has not won it, then this has come into limelight. But I think there was some conversation
Exactly.
around this, even from Djokovic's side himself. So, be it for the award or with respect to, I think, his coach also, Goran. So, that was also into the media, and probably they also have given some thought to this.
Well, I'm not sure about the award that Goran missed, because that was not based on
Really.
fans' votes, if I'm not mistaken. That was something the ATP gives. But as you said, that we uh, didn't really follow this award so much.
Yeah.
Nobody does probably. And I remember when I used to be a big Federer fan, I used to read sometimes in the newspapers that Federer won the fans favorite award, and it doesn't come as any surprise for us, because we know that Federer is a lot more loved than the remaining guys. But Sinner beating
And
Djokovic to win this, and Federer winning it for so long. Then you have a Nadal, and then you have Sinner. So that is maybe unfair to
yeah.
Djokovic.
So I would like to move maybe to the second perspective to this. Obviously, winning it from a fans is one thing, but do you think media also portrays Djokovic in a different manner, gives him a differential treatment as compared to the other two guys?
See, okay, I'm so glad you brought this point up. I have been talking about this during our last 3, 4, 5
Yeah.
discussions. Do you remember every time we started talking about Djokovic, I used to say that he has not equaled
Uh,
Margaret Court's record. He has surpassed the likes of Rafa and Serena Williams. So that is exactly the point Djokovic's dad has also put. He released a statement of a couple of, I guess, months ago when Djokovic was 400 weeks at number one. He said that for the longest time, you had Federer as the benchmark, being the best in the world because he was at
yes.
310 weeks. Djokovic crosses that, suddenly Steffi Graf becomes the new benchmark at 376 weeks. And now he has crossed 400. Maybe you will come up with someone in the pre-open era who has crossed 450 or 500 weeks. So that is what he said. And the same thing I actually felt, and we even had a discussion on this, that for the longest time, Nadal was at 22 Grand Slams, and that is why he was the best in history. Djokovic wins 22, 23, and suddenly the media started talking about how he has equaled Serena's record. And when he won the US Open, the media did say that he has equaled Margaret Court's record. So I think what Djokovic's dad has said is true. Unfortunately, whatever the reasons are, however it is being put, whatever lens you try to look at it from,
Yeah.
there is some bias. There is definitely
Yeah,
some bias
maybe I
against
would
him.
say that this is a part of upbringing, the way he has developed, but the world has perceived somebody as maybe a more gentle person or a more gentle one, to be very fair, but it depends on the background. But do you think some events also hurt Djokovic? I mean, organizing a tournament during COVID times or releasing some statements which are not necessary at times. So these are some negatives which really put him into limelight in a negative kind of way.
See, the way I see is, if the fans don't like him, okay, then I think it is acceptable because fans are supposed to be biased, right? Today, despite such disastrous performances from Manchester United for the last 10 years, I still support them. I watch every match of theirs. I still feel that we have the best squad, the best stadium, the best manager in the world. So fans are supposed to be biased, right? Biased and emotional. And of course, probably, not probably, definitely, Federer has a more likable personality. His playing style is also very, something you
Yes.
love. It's like art. At the same time, Nadal is a gentleman, so obviously, people
Yeah.
love him a lot. And even for people like me, when Djokovic dethroned these two guys, so of course I personally feel the world was divided into two parts, that is Nadal and Federer, and suddenly somebody comes, so nobody is going to like him. So I'm saying fans are supposed to be biased, and that is fine.
Like this one.
Absolutely, I don't. It surprises me, but it's not something uh, unfair or wrong that he's not getting the fans' favorite. But the media supposed to be
Uh,
unbiased?
I think, yeah, media is or should be covering all the guys in kind of a same lens, and probably, yeah, they have kind of mistreated, or the negatives of Djokovic get amplified to a level which probably
Yes, correct.
Nadal's or Federer's events do not get that kind of a coverage. But yeah, moving on to, I think, the final point here. Uh, do you think some controversies not related to fans or medias, rather the administration? Primarily, maybe you would bring up COVID, I'm sure. But from the officials or an admin point of view, also have gone wrong in Djokovic's image building.
Well, yeah, the Australian Open incident that happened during COVID. Okay, so it's fine. He didn't take the vaccine for whatever reasons best known to him. That is fine. And if he wasn't allowed to play the tournament, it was fine. But I think the way he was deported, he had to fight a case in the court. Come on, you're talking about a guy who has won the Australian
Yeah.
Open 9 times. So even though I'm not saying he should deserve some special treatment, but if he was not going to be allowed to play, he should have just been denied a visa, right? Or whatever the rules are. There was no need to create whatever
Yeah.
drama was created. So, and it it really hurt his image bad.
Probably nobody was so clear on the rules, it seems, and hence the confusion. I think similar thing happened at US, where obviously the administration said that this particular decision or call is way above what they have authority to do. So again, the same thing happened at the US, but it's so good to see him back and winning so many things.
So about the US Open, you're talking about the ball
Ball kid
kid
incident,
incident,
and
right?
I was primarily talking about the visa thing, whether he should be allowed or not. I think the US Open admin, or I'm not sure if it was Indian Wells or Miami, but those guys said that decision cannot be made at this level. That decision has to be made at a level which is significantly above their authority.
See, that is my point about Australian Open. I think that what the Americans did is fine. That this is a policy and we are going to follow that policy. So that is not something I blame the authorities for. The way he was deported from Australia, I think it was not graceful at all. And about the US Open incident, I think the ball kid incident was exaggerated.
Yeah, yeah.
It was, yeah. I mean, the decision was taken in a lot of haste, and it was a really harsh decision.
Yeah, but
So the only thing that comes into my mind is that if a Federer or Nadal had done this, or if something like this had happened to them,
yeah.
would the officials have behaved differently? And somewhere deep down in our gut, we feel that yes, the officials wouldn't
Yeah.
have been so harsh. What
Yeah,
do
I
you
think
think about this?
one of the key things I'm talking to you today, but seems like you have a clear three parallel tracks going on in your head. And you are looking at Djokovic here, Federer and Nadal in the other tracks. And you're clearly able to imagine like for like situations where things have gone wrong.
See, the main thing is that after Djokovic crossed Nadal in the number of Grand Slams, we actually did discuss this. That suddenly we are talking about Serena and suddenly we are talking about Margaret Court. The same thing is Dad said. So that highlights the media aspect of this. Then we have the Ivanisevic not being given the coach of the year, and even Djokovic retorting to it. He made a really sarcastic comment on Twitter and Instagram that Goran, maybe we should win all four of the slams to even get considered for this award. So something like that. So it means that this topic is getting some traction.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. But it's so good to see him back. And again, I think it's so good to see maybe Nadal back in the next year, where we'll have a lot of competitors, the newbies as well as the oldies. I'm not sure if oldies is the right word here, but 2024 will be fascinating. And from a fan's point of view, I'm not sure if Djokovic is really hurt and then he has something more to prove. I'm not sure what something more could be, because 2023 itself was probably the peak of his performances. But I would love to hear what you think about this. Is Djokovic really treated unfairly by the media, by the fans, by the administration, by the tennis world in general? I think we would like to leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining today's episode and see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye-bye.